Jeremy Corbyn's tax plans have been heavily criticised following the release of the party's manifesto this week. Deemed the manifesto of hope, Labour's spending promises would enlarge state intervention to levels not seen since the 1970s. Some corporations have warned. Mr. Corbyn's radical manifesto would enlarge additional revenue spending measures to almost £83 billion as reported by the party's costings. Under a Labour government, there will be a personal tax rate for those earning over £80,000 of 45% and 50% for those over £125,000. However, crucially, corporation tax would rise from 19% to 26%, while there would also be a new financial transaction tax. There would also be a new tax on multinational firms that are based in the UK. The Adam Smith Institute warned the UK's living standards will be seriously damaged by the raft of taxes on companies and the wealthy. Speaking to Daily Express, head of programs for the think tank, Daniel Pryor said, Labour's tax plans would burden British businesses with the highest effective rates in Europe. The best economic evidence shows that working people will shoulder the majority of the burden. There will be fewer jobs, lower wages and less investment. UK growth and future living standards will be seriously damaged, all because Labour politicians place more faith in an outdated socialist ideology than the real world. We have to raise money for public services from somewhere. Big corporation tax is an especially damaging way of doing so. As he unveiled his policies, Mr. Corbyn boasted that Labour's manifesto was the most radical and ambitious plan to transform our country in decades. With the rise in taxes on the wealthy, some have warned that companies, which account for a large portion of the UK's economy, would eventually pull out. As Director General of the Confederation of British Industry, CBI, Carolyn Fairbairn stated, Labour's default instinct for state control will drag our economy down, rather than lift people up. It's the most vulnerable in society who will pay the price for this economic experiment. Moreover, the party would also reverse cuts to the inheritance tax made under George Osborne. The current scheme has a threshold of £475,000 per person or £950,000 for couples. However, under Labour the threshold would change to a threshold of £125,000. Preempting the attacks from the rich and wealthy, Mr. Corbyn embraced the criticism he would expect to get. He said, they throw everyone they've got at us because they're scared of real change. Because they aren't on your side. In another key element of the party's manifesto, Mr. Corbyn was once again challenged on his party's Brexit stance. So far, the party has stated that if elected, they will negotiate a new deal with the EU within 3 months. They also stated that a second referendum would be held in 6. Although the party has not defined its own stance on the matter, something to which Mr. Corbyn stated would end this national misery.